a big week in the world of All Elite Wrestling, as he will be challenging MJF for the AEW World Heavyweight title. You can catch that on DAZN in select international territories. He's the one and only Daniel Garcia. And Danny, you told me beforehand, this is a week. This is a great week. Would you say, is it fair to say, Danny, this is the biggest week of your career or no?
I feel like I've had weeks that have been more important to my development as a performer and more impactful is my development as a performer. But I think this is one of the biggest opportunities I've ever had, especially with the past year I've had where I've kind of just been not stagnant, but opportunities have been very hard to come by for me over the past year. So I feel like this is in comparison to the rest of my career where I was at with those opportunities I was getting, this is the biggest opportunity I've had in a very long time.
Why do you feel the last year has been so stagnant for you?
That's a good question. I'm not really sure. I feel like AEW, we have a very big roster. We have a lot of talented people on the show. And obviously more talent comes with more competition. So it's just harder to get opportunities. And I feel like that can either deter you from wanting to get those opportunities. It can make you feel complacent and lazy, or it can make you work harder, try new things, and do everything you can to still earn those opportunities. And I feel like that's exactly what I do.
That dance, man. I don't know who's got the better dance right now in AEW, you or Nana. And I asked Swerve
And
about that a few weeks ago, and he thinks it's a pretty close race when we chatted. I think it was about 2 or 3 weeks ago.
yeah, it was kind of weird. I started doing the dance like maybe about like 8, 10 months ago. It started getting crazy reactions. And then, Nana started doing the dance like 2 or 3 weeks later. So it's pretty interesting. I think I'm the originator of dancing at AEW. I feel like since I've done it, I've seen a lot of people try to emulate that kind of thing in their matches, but you can steal the recipe, but the sauce don't taste the same. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I know what you're saying. And have you given him tips? Because his moves have been getting better, where yours have always been really good.
Yeah, I love Nana's dance. I think it's really funny. I like his contrast to Swerve's serious demeanor. I love when he comes out jumping around doing his little dance. He adds little changes to the dance every couple weeks. It feels like he's always adding new layers. It's always entertaining.
Where did the idea come from to start doing that?
I mean, it was just something I did in a match once. I think we were in El Paso, like big Latino and Hispanic community in El Paso. I was just on Ricky Starks and I just busted out a dance move and got a good reaction. I never really expected it to become such a big part of who I am as a performer. I just kind of wanted it to be something that, like a taunt, like how Eddie Guerrero shakes his shoulders, does his little shin, just like a little taunt that someone does every once in a while. But the dance kind of took on a life of its own and became, I think, bigger than anybody could have ever predicted.
I do agree with it, because I remember when you and Sammy faced MJF and Adam Cole in the tag title tournament, and that's kind of like where they're looking, and you just stole the show. It was better
Mm-hmm.
than what any of the other three did. And no disrespect to their dance moves, but that's kind of where I felt you had, like you said, it gained momentum, but I felt that moment took it over the top.
I appreciate that. I feel like, the more I get in there with high profile people and I can juxtapose the dance next to these big, larger than life performers that everybody's already familiar with, it always helps get the dance some more notoriety.
I couldn't agree with that more. And, when you look at the moment of this week and, you look at the run Max has been on, and what do you make of, you could really call it a transformation of Max, of where, he became the champion, where people are like, okay, we know what we're going to get. And he's done really a complete 180 in the last like 4 or 5 months.
Yeah, Max is a very interesting guy. I mean, behind the scenes and on the screen, I think he's somebody that a lot of people have very mixed emotions and mixed feelings on. But it's hard to deny his work ethic. It's hard to deny his output. I mean, he's on screen more than anybody else. He gets more TV time than anybody else, and he's really excels at getting himself over and getting every little thing that he does to get a reaction. Everything he does means something, which I think is very it, it's not, what's the word I'm looking for? Like that's nothing to sneeze at. Everything he does ends up meaning something in the long run. Like there's no skipped beats in his character or his story. Like you have to pay attention to every single thing that he does to actually get it. And I think that's something really cool about Max, no matter how you feel about him.
I feel that's a lost art in wrestling is the minutia. Then like the little things, is everyone always looks at the big picture when especially when you watch AEW, the small things matter more often than not than the big things.
Yeah, I think if you look at people like Hangman, the Elite, and Kenny, they kind of made that popular in wrestling again, where they really reward the attentive viewer. If you can pick up on the Easter eggs and if you can pick up on the storytelling they've been doing for years over time, it'll reward you in the long run as a viewer because you get the full picture that they've been trying to paint the entire time.
You know, who have you learned the most from so far in AEW? Have you learned more from Jericho or have you learned more from Bryan Danielson?
Uh, I mean, that's a hard question. I feel like I haven't really learned anything specific from either of them. Like, neither of them are the type of guy to sit you down and critique your matches or critique promos or tell you need to do this or tell you need to do that. They're kind of very, especially Jericho, is a very like laissez-faire uh teacher. He kind of just lets you do things on your own and find out stuff for yourself. Um and Bryan, if you ask him to for help, he will generally tell you if you need help or not. Like he will critique your matches, he will tell you what needs to be better. But they're both not very in your face about it. They don't go out of their way to tell you if you have a problem. You very much have to go to them and ask them for their advice.
Do you prefer that, or do you prefer someone to per se be on your ass to be like, hey, here you can improve something here, you can improve something here, or you prefer that laid back style?
I mean, I prefer having somebody that you can go to and trust who can give you advice. Like for me, I love getting advice from Bryan. I love getting advice from Dax from FTR. Those are two of my main people to go to for when I need help with something. Either whether it be in ring or backstage. Those are two people that have helped me immensely in both of those things. And I don't know if I have a preference. Obviously, nobody really feels good when they're getting critiqued. It's natural to try to deflect and come up with excuses when people are giving you advice because everybody thinks what they're doing is right in the moment. But I think it's important to take advice and seek out critique and to try to get better because I think that's the only way somebody can improve. I do like only having a couple people to go to because I feel like if you have too many people giving you advice, then everything just gets lost in translation, and then you're trying to please and appease too many different people at once, and then you become something that isn't even a good reflection of yourself. And I feel like that's something I did for maybe like 6 months ago. For like a year I was doing in AEW where I was letting too many people tell me what they think I should be doing instead of doing what I think I should be doing. And I think that was a pitfall for me for a couple months, but I got out of it. I snapped out of it, and I feel like I'm doing off better because of it.
Where do you feel you are right now as a performer compared to 12 months ago?
It's weird. I have a lot less ring time than I had 12 months ago. I feel like 12 months ago I was wrestling very, very, very consistently. Maybe more than 12 months ago. Like uh let's say like 14 to like 16 months ago, I was wrestling so much. I was wrestling a lot. Felt like I was wrestling every week. And last week on Rampage against Trent, and then this week against MJF, this is only my second singles match at AEW in 6 months since May. So like I said, opportunities are getting harder and harder to come by. Time is getting harder and harder to come by. So I feel like in ring wise, what's been keeping me fresh a lot is training. I train a lot in Buffalo, New York at Grapplers Anonymous still, and I still take indie dates. Like a month or two ago, I did an hour-long match with Speedball Mike Bailey at PWG.
Remember that?
Like a month or two ago, I wrestled Titus Alexander, a West Coast pro, for a half hour. So I've been taking other avenues to keep me fresh in ring when the in ring opportunities aren't coming at AEW. So I still feel as ready as ever. And I feel like somehow with the lack of ring time, I'm still better than I was 12 months ago. I feel like I've grown more as a performer and as a wrestler in ring. So I feel like this match with Max is going to be a good culmination, and I feel like you're going to see some things from Daniel Garcia that you've been expecting and new things that you haven't been expecting. And I think it's a good culmination of all my work over the past year.
That match with Mike Bailey was awesome.
Thank you.
You look at, you talk about Mike, and is he? And I asked him this, and he was very humble about it before I talked to him before his match with Will Ospreay, and he was humble when I asked about if he was the best performer in the business, and he kind of downplayed it. But who do you feel is the best performer in the business?
Best performer in the business. I say all the time, I think Mox is the best wrestler in the world. He's somebody, whenever I watch him, he just makes me feel like viscerally. He just makes like he can bring out my emotions in a match more than anybody else can, I think. I love watching him. I think the way he performs is kind of like lost on a lot of people. I feel like he has like an old school style, and not just stylistically, like the way he does things, it breaks the rhythm of how an audience should react. Like if an audience is supposed to be like, okay, now's the point where we clap, now's the point where we cheer, now's the point where we chant, this is awesome. He kind of takes the audience on a different ride where they're reacting because they feel like they need to react, not because they're like, oh, no, well, this is the time where we do this, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it definitely does. And
So I look up to
is
I
it
look up to Mox in a lot of ways. I love watching Mox perform.
is it the one guy you study the most? Is Mox?
Mm, I would say Mox, Bryan, Eddie. Those are probably like three of the people who probably my top three favorite wrestlers of all time. My top five would be like Bryan, Mox, Eddie, Sasha Banks, and then five is probably like a rotating door of like Katsuyori Shibata or Mark Henry or Shinsuke Nakamura or something like that. But the top four, that's like Mox, Bryan, Eddie, Sasha Banks. That's like locked in. I don't think that'll ever change. Mercedes Moné, sorry.
He's the same, or people are going to get. I don't want people getting upset at you, Danny. Because you know how people get. People get a little upset when you don't mention their current names, and
I know.
you talk about her.
That's just what I grew up with her on. It took me forever to start calling Mox too. I was calling him Dean Ambrose for the longest.
Did he ever try to correct you when you kept calling him that?
No, I never called him to his. Just like even before I signed to AEW, I'd be like, "Oh, like did you see Dean Ambrose's match?" And it's just, it's just a habit. You got to break it.
No, you're not wrong. No, you're not wrong on that at all. And say Mercedes does come in. She was at All In, a lot of rumbling, speculation. She's injured right now, but what would she mean to the women's division?
Yeah, I think a Mercedes, not even in a women's division. I think she's one of the greatest performers of all time. I think she carries herself like a star. Her in-ring ability is amazing. I think she's very creative, very unique. I've never met her, but you can tell her work ethic is insane. Like when she left, took a break for like a year or whatever, and she was going to all these different schools. She trained in Mexico. She trained in Japan. She trained at House of Glory in New York City. Just like learning and adapting to all these new different styles to really improve her game. Just always being a student, not being complacent, and not just um what is it, like resting on her laurels. Like she never seems like the
Yeah.
type to do that. So I really admire her. I love watching and studying her matches, and I think she's one of the best of all time, male or female.
Is that the worst thing you can do as a performer is be complacent?
I wouldn't say be complacent. I would say the worst thing you can do as a performer is regress. But I feel like the business is rapidly moving so quick. If you stay it's like inflation. Like if you keep all your money in a savings account, it's going to be the same amount of money over the next year. But because the dollar keeps going and going up, it's gonna be less money than it was. So if you stay complacent, you're probably not gonna get any worse, but everyone's gonna get so much better than you that it's gonna seem like you're a lot worse.
Are you are you a Bills fan or a Sabres fan or both?
Uh, I don't really watch a lot of football, but I'm a Bills fan by
Okay.
proxy. I played hockey
Ah,
growing up like my whole life, so
okay.
I'm a Sabres fan, but I don't really watch a lot of games. I watch the basketball and soccer; those are my sports. But I'll go to Sabres games with my friends. I'll watch
Okay.
the Bills games if they're on sometimes. So yes, I am a Bills and Sabres fan by proxy for sure.
So who's the favorite? Are you an MLS fan? Or are you more of like the Premier League and La Liga, or
I like
even
Premier
Saudi Pro League is starting right now?
I like Premier League and La Liga.
Okay, okay. Do you have specific teams or no?
I mean, I'm not like super supportive of one team. I like watching
Okay,
Arsenal. I like watching West Ham because they have players that I
okay.
like. La Liga, I like watching Barcelona, obviously.
There you go. There you go. Messi fan or no?
Messi's cool. I'm a Neymar guy. Neymar is my favorite player of all time.
Ooh, okay, okay.
Rest up, Neymar.
It's just
I hope your knee gets better soon.
that was tragic. Oh my god, that's one of those where you turn the head when you see
Yeah,
that.
I love Neymar. He's another person who dances but has a lot of skill. So I admire him a lot. A lot of inspiration taken from Neymar for sure.
He doesn't have Daniel Garcia dance skills. Let's just be
It's close. It's close.
honest. He's not nimble. I don't feel like you bring a certain
you're,
cachet to where
you're saying Neymar
it's
isn't
kind
nimble? The most skilled soccer player of all time isn't
of
nimble? That's crazy.
nimble on the soccer field, nimble to the dance moves. It's different things. I think it's a little bit different.
You got to watch
That's just
more
me
of
though. I
Neymar's
could be.
videos.
I'm gonna have to shout you out on Twitter. I'm gonna have to do that later after we get off, and I'm gonna have to sit and watch a couple more dances. The stuff I've seen is good, but it could be better.
You got
Not
to
as good as
watch
the
him
soccer.
him and my other favorite player, Lucas Paqueta. He's one of my favorites. You got to watch him too. He dances a lot. He's really good.
Okay. I'm gonna have to shout you out on Twitter. I'm gonna have to do that later. And two more questions, Danny. And thank you so much for the time today. It's greatly appreciated.
Uh,
And what would it mean to you to walk out with the AEW heavyweight title?
I mean, the champion is the person who gets to put the company on their back. They're the one who's on every poster, every pay per view, every TV show. They make the most money. I mean, it would mean a lot for me. This is a contract year for me, so I'm doing everything I can to solidify my next deal and where I end up. So I feel like winning the title, it would be the biggest deal in the world for the place that I'm at right now. It would be amazing. I haven't. Let me say this: I haven't been on a AEW strictly only AEW pay per view since Double or Nothing 2022, Anarchy
Get
in the
out of
Arena.
here.
That's the only AEW strictly only AEW pay per view that I've been on. That's the only one I've ever wrestled on. I've been on Forbidden Door. I've been on some of the Ring of Honors, but that's the only AEW pay per view I've ever wrestled on. And like I said, opportunities are hard to come by, and I get frustrated and I get mad in a good motivated way where I see these pay-per-views pass by and I'm just sitting there not on them. When I see the intros to the TV show and I'm not on them, when I see the faces on the truck and I'm not on them. So I feel like winning the title, it's gonna force the hand, and they're gonna have no choice but to put me on every pay-per-view and on the trucks and on every merch and on everything. I want Daniel Garcia's beautiful, gorgeous Hispanic face to be on every AEW related thing possible. I want to be on Dynamite, Rampage, Collision, Ring of Honor every single week. That's my aspirations. I'm not somebody who wants to win the title just to say, oh, like I have this metal object uh that I can flaunt around and bring through TSA. I want to be the person to carry AEW into the future, and I want to be the person to put it on my back and lead AEW in the right direction.
I wasn't going to ask this, but I'll end with this based off your answer. Is this match a proving point? Not even just to yourself, not even to yourself, really. You know how great you are in the ring, but to your employer in the world.
No, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say it's a proving point to my employer or anything, because Tony knows how good I am. He lets me know how good I am. I have a great boss. I have a great support system around me at AEW. But I feel like it is kind of do or die because, like I said, opportunities, I'm going to keep saying it, they're just very hard to come by. And I feel like if you don't make the most of every opportunity, then the next time an opportunity comes, it's going to pass you by and you won't get selected to do that. I feel like everything I've ever been given, I've knocked it out of the park. I feel like I've done the most with everything that I've been given, and I'm going to continue to do that for AEW. Um, if my boss tells me, "Hey, we need you to do this," I'm gonna do it. If my coworkers tell me, "Hey, we need you to do this," I'm gonna do it. I'm that kind of guy. I'm a company man, and I'm somebody that wants to see AEW succeed the most in the future, and I want to be the reason why that happens. I don't want to see I want the best for AEW, but I want to be the reason why AEW is succeeding. I remember there was a Michael Jordan quote. He said, "I want my team to win, but I want to be the reason why my team is winning." And that's how I feel. I want to be the reason why AEW wins. And I feel like I can be. I feel like I proved that I can be, and I will continue to prove that I can be.
You can watch Daniel Garcia challenge MJF for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship Wednesday night from Portland, Oregon on AEW Dynamite, and you can watch that on DAZN in select international territories. Daniel, we've never chatted. This has been great. Thank you so much for the time today. It is greatly appreciated. I'm gonna go watch some Neymar. I'm getting ready to go eat some pizza. So I'm
Yeah,
gonna
go
sit while I'm eating dinner. Now, should I go to TikTok or should I go to Twitter or YouTube? Where am I going here?
go to TikTok,
Watch more.
YouTube, just look
Okay.
up the Brazilian national team dances. It'll be the best stuff you've ever seen in your life.
And I'm gonna mention you on Twitter because I am gonna watch it and I'll probably even link it. So Danny, thank you for the time, my man. This has definitely been a pleasure. Best of luck on Wednesday. Look forward to talking to you soon.
Thank you.